Welcome back to another episode of Shinecast. We are Real Talk for Real Minds.
I'm Lillian.
I'm Alyssa.
And today we want to combine some of our previous episodes to about friendships, holidays, and overall mental health to bring up the discussion of identity, specifically through the lens of first generation. We want to help explain how community can really help in the affirmation of that.
Whether or not you are first generation, we still hope you show how creating and forming your identity is a unique experience that can be influenced by our community.
We are here with Puertas Abiertas, a non-profit organization in Napa, California, formed in 2005. They are celebrated as the gateway to access to health and social services, a culturally appropriate service provider for Latino families.
Welcome. Please introduce yourselves and what role you play in Puertas Abiertas.
Thank you. I am Andrea. I am a family advocate at Puertas Abiertas.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alejandra, and I am a senior case manager at Puertas Abiertas. I've been at Puertas for going on 8 years.
Wow.
And Puertas Abiertas, just FYI, it translates to open doors.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah, so today we kind of want to discuss a couple of things. The first being first generation and how that plays into education. We may not realize it, but education is really everywhere. It doesn't just mean traditional college. So I think it's important for us, as first generation students, to understand how valuable it can be. So yeah, are you guys first generation, and how has that been for you?
Yeah, we both are. I mean, I graduated high school in 2018, and then I went on to my journey at the JC.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I always knew I wanted to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know how I was going to get to school. They always told me education is the way to go. And that's all I ever really wanted since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I just didn't know how I was going to get from high school to college.
Right.
Yeah. So I was also very unsure what I wanted to do at the time. You guys are young. I'm sure maybe you guys have an idea of what you want already, but I did not at the time. And I took some time at the JC, figured out what I liked, took some classes, but then I was still very lost at the time. I think I didn't know how I would get to a 4-year college, or if I would even want to due to the cost. And so I kept taking classes, and then eventually a semester I realized I need to apply to college soon. So I started taking more major oriented classes. That's when I figured out I wanted to take sociology and psychology at the time. And then it was hard. I was the first one in my family to go to college. I didn't have cousins. I didn't have cousins or parents or uncles who ever went to school. So I just had the journey was applying to college, and then FAFSA, and then the part you also forget about a lot is applying for housing, applying for your meal plan. Yeah. That is so stressful. At the time, I was already in, and I was still stressed out that I wasn't going to get there. So I think a lot of the navigation that is needed for that. There is a lot of help for that too, though. And sometimes it's just setting the time, putting I need to meet with my counselor.
Right.
And then at the time, I also had a friend who was also applying to Davis at the time. She was also going through the housing process. So she didn't have an experience either. She didn't have anybody guiding her either. But sometimes it's just 2 minds is better than 1 mind. So it's hey, what do you think we need to do from here?
I think it's so layered and complex for me. Just to give some context, I graduated high school in 2008. So I'm sure you all were probably barely being born. So obviously I come from, parents that, immigrated from Mexico, and they both worked their whole lives. And so when I started school, I did not know English at all. So I felt like I went through, and it was always instilled in me to go to school. It was something that always my parents said, you have to go to college. You have to make something out of yourself. So even though it was instilled in me and they were very supportive, for some reason, as you navigate these 2 languages, going through ESL classes and, parents not being able to help you with your homework because they had, 6th grade level education, that's hard in itself. And even though I knew that I had to and wanted to go to college, in actual time going through middle school and high school, it just seems so unattainable for me for some reason. Because even though all my friends had the same kind of background, it still felt like isolating for some reason, the experience at the same time, because I feel like consciously it's not something we would talk about at that age, or wasn't really talked about, at least for me, with my friends. And I think along the way, even though I consciously wasn't looking for mentors, I feel like now that I look back in hindsight, I think I was searching for mentors to kind of help me throughout that. And in high school, I had a teacher, an avid teacher, and she really, I think, kind of gave us that yes, you could do college, like this, you could definitely do it. And she guided us through like applying and how financial aid works and all of that. And so I ended up going to the community college for 2 or 3 years, and then I ended up transferring to Sac State. In those years in community college, I still didn't know really where I wanted to do when it came to my degree. It was kind of like, what is my passion? What is it that I like? And I always knew it had to be something in human services and kind of community and helping people. That's one thing I knew for sure, but I didn't know in what direction. Was it social work? Was it psychology? And so finally, I'm like, I think I want to do social work. That's kind of my passion. You know, I love talking. I'm a social butterfly. Like, that's my jam. And so I think something that helped me is that I just was knocking on doors, trying to figure out, wing it. I tried to enroll in programs like Puente that helped, you know, connect with other students with the same similar background. I was enrolled in SSS at the college, which helped you apply to help you with support with college applications, go to field trips and, you know, get to know colleges and things like that. And so when it came down to applying to colleges, that was a time when the recession happened. So a lot of people were losing their homes. And so my parents were one of those people that lost their houses. And so they were in a very tough situation financially. And it was just at the time I was going to transfer. I ended up not getting any financial aid. And so at that point in my life, I'm like, I don't think it's going to be in the books for me to go to college. Like, my parents were about to be unhoused. We got to figure this out. We didn't have any savings for college. That wasn't, you know, tools that my parents learned when they were here that you had to save up. I mean, we only, you know, lived whatever for what is, you know, food, housing, and, you know. And so finally, I transferred, even though my parents were in a huge kind of big shift in their lives that was really stressful. But for me, it was something exciting. So it was weird to deal with the kind of navigate those both worlds of like my parents being in such a vulnerable hardship and then me going off to college. And it was such a just challenging in itself. And finally, I was able to get a loan to get me through the 2 years of college. And to make story short, I just had to wing it. And I just had to find mentors along the way and find that support with my friends. And yeah.
I really appreciate hearing that because the struggle is real.
Very real.
Especially right now when I completed the college application process, the portals, creating them.
Yeah.
And then the different essays and what do you write about in your essay? How do you go for it? So it's very hard, like you said, especially first gen. But as you both mentioned, you spoke to your counselors and you had the other friend going through the same thing. And you with Puentes, there's so much importance in finding community.
Yes.
Because there's organizations that are here to help you.
Yeah.
And I know that Puertas Abiertas has some education-related classes. Because, again, education is more than just, university and school. So I've heard you guys have a financial literacy and a basic computing skills class.
Yes.
Can you guys touch on those?
Yeah. So one of our classes or kind of resources that we offer at Puertas Abiertas is financial literacy. And like you touched upon, it's not just education, meaning college or school. Sometimes we try to offer programs where we feel that we listen to our community. So when we hear their needs, we try to show up through our programs. And so financial literacy was one of them. And That is where we offer workshops for clients where they're able to learn about how to open a bank account, what is credit, what's good credit, what's bad credit, how to take out a loan, something that might seem simple, but really is complex and it affects your day-to-day life. And so we've been able to help people from high school to elderly. And when they finish that workshop, they get to receive a stipend at the end. So they get a monetary, check to their name, and they're able to use that for rent if they want to put in their children's college fund or whatever they may want.
Because culture is a big part of our lives also, I want to kind of talk about something that we, especially now in this political climate, it could be scary to like show your culture and be afraid of discrimination. So how have you overcome, if you have experienced that fear of discrimination, how have you overcome that to better express yourself?
I think now there's a lot of accountability too. Where like if I know, like if I go outside and I feel like I might get discriminated, I hope there would be somebody around me that would take account, like maybe take action and record. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm going a little off topic, but I don't know if you saw like a video about a street vendor recently getting harassed in Napa.
Oh my God.
Because he was selling like toys downtown, and the man was harassing him in English and telling him like, oh, this is like garbage. And there was people there recording him. So there was accountability taken. So I think a lot of times it's the community, you know, like I think it's also, I'm pretty lucky to live in California, whereas I can feel a little more comfortable that the people around me might take care of me. And I did grow up in high school, most like it was half and half. It was like half Latino, half Caucasian. So I felt like, okay, I'm surrounded by I'm surrounded by people who like are like me, but there's also like a lot of, even within sometimes in group, I would feel like growing up especially, there would be judgment if my English was not as good as somebody else's English who was also like learning it as a second language. But there's always like classes for that. Like there was classes for that, like I was saying, I had a tutor that helped me out a lot.
Yeah, I know, like when I was little, I would bring, like my mom would pack me empanadas, like in, to elementary school.
Yeah.
And like, I remember one time a kid questioned me and was like, what is that? And I'm like, this is my comfort food and you're over here judging me. So it became like an insecurity for a little bit. But like at the end of the day, like that is my food. Like that is what I enjoy. And like, it's okay for me to bring it. Like,
Yeah.
For me, I also deal with something similar. Like growing up, I guess it's just like, you know, they're immature, but I come from a Filipino household, and I would bring like rice and longanisa. I don't know if you guys know what that is, to school. And then like I would open it and then they're like, oh, that stinks. And I'm just like, I'd be ashamed to bring it to school. But I think it's something you have to be like, grow to be more confident in your own culture, like despite what other people think. It is hard, but I agree. Like it's just something you kind of have to step into.
I did want to ask, so how does it feel? Because I'm assuming you're Gen Z, right? Okay. I'm a millennial. So how do you feel being first generation as a Gen Z? Like, I wonder if there's differences, right, between my experience and kind of what patterns you see now as a first gen being Gen Z.
For me, my story is kind of like my parents. Both of them, they immigrated here to the Philippines. In my family, I'm the first one who was born here, and so my older brother was also born there. So navigating the college application process was hard because he never experienced that. Like he also went to college in the Philippines. And so, I was the first to go through like the UC applications, like writing all those essays, like even the FAFSA, like I delayed it because I wasn't sure how to do it. But I think the most challenging part is also like the pressure to succeed because of like the family sacrifice and just like having that like pressure on you. It kind of tolls on your mental health in a way. And not only that, like, I guess networking, I think now in today's Gen Z, like, I think we're a little bit more fortunate that we have a lot of resources, like, supplied to us from our schools, which I really enjoy. And, like, you guys also provide that support to other people as well. I do think it is still really challenging, but I feel like, granted our resources, it got better.
Yeah, I definitely, like, relate to that. My parents didn't get very high in their education. So definitely, like, starting a college application, what schools do I like what am I looking for? Like you said, like there is some sort of pressure to like succeed and be the first one to have that degree because it opens doors.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it opens doors, and that's what you want. Especially you want to be able to like in the future be in a secure financial situation. But I've definitely seen like an influx in like resources and like people that want to help. So that's been great because like otherwise I don't know how I would have done it, but it still definitely affects us, I would say.
Yeah, there's still challenges because you still, trying to navigate that. That's amazing that you feel like there is like support and resources. And it's something we talked about yesterday, actually, where it's like no matter what generation but when you're first gen, like you'll look back and be like, I did that. Like I'm proud of myself. Like I went through all of these struggles or hurdles and challenges, and it's like, I did it. I'm empowered. I'm independent. Like when you look back, you're just going to be so proud of yourself through like each milestone, like just completing FAFSA itself. It's like, you know what I mean? And so like, that's great to hear. Yeah.
We were literally mentioning this earlier, like being first generation is like two things. Like one, it's difficult, but at the end of the day, it teaches you to like be able to overcome things on your own and like
be independent. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's like the good side to being first generation as well.
Yeah. I was just telling my coworker, like, I would do it all over again. I said, if I would do it all over again, because there's just so beauty in that as well, of like you become resilient, you grow, and you're just like amazing, like first gen, and just like that's what uplifting is, one another and oneself. And it's like, I think it's amazing.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on like the sacrifice, like that burden. I feel like it's like my parents are like living in another country for me to get this education. Like a lot of like through high school and college, I was like, I need to do this for my parents because they made a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And like, where am I going to find this strength? And then I was thinking about it and I'm like, wait, but my parents, like, they're strong. They were strong enough to like manage a whole country, a whole different language. That I feel like that like, I feel like I could have used that as motivation through college and I didn't. Like I was thinking about it, I was like, I only thought of their sacrifice as motivation, not like the steps they took to get here and the navigation they also had to take.
I loved
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
It was so fun. I would do those nights of studying any day, meeting new people. It's like, it's great.
I'm glad to hear that. Like that's positive. It's not
It
like
is.
scary.
Gives you
It's just-
something
Yeah.
to look for. It's
Like it's
for
scary,
sure.
but like, it's like great.
Yeah.
It's just the thrill of it. Like,
Yeah.
it's not easy, but it's, And I went when like, before all this like hardcore social media, chat GPT and, but always lean on community, always lean on your friends and family, like what brings you happiness, like check in with yourself and always try to like balance, your student life, your mental health and, and like, it'll be okay, one day at a time.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to what you said how like identity changes like throughout the time.
Yeah.
I do know that you guys host a program called La Cultura Cura, and I know that you guys have different age groups. If you guys could talk about like how you guys empower that cultural side and what you guys do.
Yeah, I think it's important for us at Puertas we call La Cultura Cura, which translates to our culture heals, but we also heal our culture, right? And so I think it's important for us to have a program that we offer for our community, for youth, adults, and older adults, where a psychotherapist has the opportunity to provide self-help tools to our Latina community, because there's such a stigma, and I think it's so important because as much as we want to heal individually, we have to also heal culturally and collectively, and also heal cycles that maybe are not, that are harmful. And
What was a time that you reached out or sought support, and how did you go about doing so?
So during I don't know if it was during COVID or right before COVID, I was going through like mental health really bad. I wasn't really sharing it with anybody. And one of my best friends, she knew something, was going on with me. And so I think like for me, community is just like also having like that support through friends and family, however that may look to you, that's safe for you. And she was able to just like really kind of just be there so I could kind of vent and tell her kind of what's going on and encourage therapy and just have like a healthy conversation. And I think sometimes it's so hard to be vulnerable, and I think to ask for help, because we're so used to being first gen where you're just kind of doing it yourself and figuring it out and winging it, that sometimes we have to be comfortable with just being vulnerable and reaching out for help even when it's uncomfortable. And I think that's so important, and I think that's saved me so many times. And you also can find community and like stuff that's like social and fun, you know, whether it's joining a book club, whether it's like going to your faith-based, you know, church, or whatever it is that just kind of like nurtures or kind of like just fulfills you, you know, whether it's socially, faith, whether it's, you know, through whatever, you know. So yeah.
And as positive as community can be, it could also sometimes lead you astray. Our last guest was mentioning how, what was like the people you surround yourself with are like kind of how you end up acting. So I kind of want to ask, what was the time you saw yourself surrounded by people who did not support the person that you wanted to become, and how did you manage that situation?
In the process of, well, I was at the JC, I was surrounding myself with a group that I thought like the biggest like achievements that you could have as a woman is getting married and having kids. So I was like, whoa, and it's really easy when you're in a group. Socialization is very easy to like get drawn into like what other people around you are thinking. So like I'm like, oh well, like for a moment in my time in my life, I thought, if I can't have kids, what am I gonna do? Like, and then like all I ever wanted to as a kid was to grow up and go to college. Like the white dress you wear to graduation, that's the white dress I wanted to wear. Like that's the only one I really cared about at the time. And I was like, and then I was like, they were like, you should like go to here, and then like you might find a good husband there. I'm like, and it's just like the work I had done. I was still in school, and I had spent my whole life studying and trying to get the grades to go to college. So like just to like focus, and then like speaking with people who know what your goals are. You know, like my parents always knew I wanted to go to college. My friends always knew I wanted to go to college. So talking to them and like analyzing like, okay, well, you always wanted to go to college. What do you want to do now? Well, I wanted to go to college. Like, so I just stayed in that path. I stayed going to JC. Sometimes it can be overwhelming to be around people who like might want to tell you like, hey, maybe school's not like maybe college won't get you all the money in the world. Like, 'cause you hear that a lot now too. It's like, oh, like college is such a scam. Like college, like I get like a better return on investment doing this, but it's like, is that what you want to do? Like if you want to go to like a trade school, you want to go this other path where it might get you more fulfillment. I think that's totally cool as long as that's what you want to do.
I think for me, I remember I had a situation happen with one of my counselors in college where I was sharing how my parents had lost their house and all of that. So I will never forget what he said. I was telling him like how stressed out I was and about financial aid and everything. And he says something along the lines of like, well, your parents should have saved up for college for you, or you should have had savings. And I'll never forget that. I remember I left crying because I thought like, oh, this is it. Like, you know, like I did it wrong. And I remember for like a day or two, I was like just sobbing. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show you, counselor. Like, I'm going to figure this out. Like your words will not impact like my trajectory of my life. And that sometimes it's crazy. So sometimes the people that you should feel more supported from were the people that didn't show that support. And so I was kind of took that and used it as motivation. And so sometimes not all the, situations are positive, but kind of make a negative into a positive. And I kind of use that as motivation to navigate that. So, yeah.
And then just to kind of wrap it up, is there just like one final tip or suggestion that you have for anyone who's like first generation or wants to study or wants to like be more empowered in the culture? Just any suggestions?
I mean, I think there was a lot of moments in like my education, where I was like, I cannot do this. Like, there's no way I'm gonna get there. Like, I can't do this. Like, but like, I look back, I'm like, and then even now I'm like, every time I think I can't do this something now, I'm like, remember like 4 years ago when you thought you couldn't like get to college? You got to college. It's like, even like sometimes like public speaking and like coming here today, not something I was like super like looking forward to because I'm like scared and a little bit. She was a little bit more scared actually.
I was spiraling.
But she's doing great, isn't she? It's like, but sometimes it's like, it's literally just your like brain, like trying to like mess with you. It's like sometimes like, no people, like the person that's judging you the hardest is yourself. So I think it's also, you have to like come to terms that like you're also spending the most time with yourself. So you have to be kind to yourself at the same time. Like sometimes you really can, like sometimes there's times that you are going to fail too. Like that's also something I like realized I had to accept at an earlier age. There's so many things that I didn't do out of fear of failing. So it's like you have to get past that. And if you fail, like there's always like support to get you back on track. I had so many classmates and like I've had people who were like, oh, this is like my second time taking the class, or like so sometimes you have to try if that's where you really like, if there's somewhere you really want to get to, it's trying. And like I wish we weren't so scared of failing, because I'd rather fail than not do it at all, you know.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree. Also just giving yourself grace like along the way, I think just is so important, and not putting that pressure on yourself. And I think it's just, so important. And leaning on other people with maybe the same shared lived experiences, I think helps kind of navigating through those worlds. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today and giving your guys' personal stories and advice. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. And I think you are all amazing and doing a great job with everything you're doing. And I wish you all like an amazing future. And yeah,